Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 24 of Games My Mom Found. And who are the pellet-eating, circular, weird things with legs with me tonight?
Sounds so dirty.
Pellet-eating, drug addict, Stefan, JD.
Ghost Hunter, Stuart Hughes.
And Christian.
Nothing clever.
Special guest.
There's two things about our game, and that's all of them.
Yeah, that's about all I had for that one. And before we go too far, I just want to give a quick shout out to another podcast called The Unboxing Story. They did an episode recently about Godzilla. They did some episode about C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien. So if you're looking for a little bit more fantasy and a little more intelligent than what this podcast talks about, take a listen to them and add them in your rotation. And Stuart, you want to introduce the lovely, wonderful, shitty game you made us play this week?
Sure, because this was originally DJ's game.
Oh, so this was Stuart's fault then.
Yes, because I brought it up and DJ immediately fell in love with it, and so we left it on the list because it was an interesting game. We are playing, God, I do this every fucking week. We are not playing. We played. We are now talking about PacMan World. 1999 PlayStation game, the first 3D platformer for Pac-Man.
Yes, like that's what everybody was asking for. They're like, "Where's our 3D Pac-Man?" Yeah.
Well, somebody was asking for it because 3D Pac-Man is in Super Smash Brothers now.
You have a point. I was not asking for it, but somebody must have been.
Clearly, it's the PacMan World Pac-Man, because if it wasn't, they would have just made him 2D.
That might have been. Hey, they did it with Game & Watch. Couldn't they do it with Pac-Man?
That's exactly what I said. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I was like, "Hey, that's the PacMan World Pac-Man." They were like, "What?" And I was like, "It's 3D." And he's like, "No, it's just Pac-Man." If it was normal Pac-Man, it'd be 2D. And they're like, "They don't do 2D characters." It's like, fucking Game & Watch.
Oh,
boom.
Is he in the regular new Smash Bros. Game for Wii U 3DS? Right, Pac-Man is. That was his first one.
Yes, the Wii U version, I believe.
Okay, he's not a DLC character, was he? He was just one of the standard characters.
No, he's one of the standards.
Yeah. Does he have? Very important question. Does he have the butt stop in that game in Smash Brothers?
No,
he doesn't.
Can't play it now.
He doesn't actually.
I actually haven't played it, so I don't know what he does.
I own it.
Yeah,
I haven't played it either.
I've played it in both versions. Neither the Switch nor the Wii U version does he have a butt smash, which is a detriment to his character in that game.
Well, does he just spit pellets out? That's all I can imagine him doing.
One of his moves, he actually throws a line of pellets and turns into 2D Pac-Man real quick.
Okay, there you go.
That's kind of cool.
That's right.
Maybe that'd be more enjoyable than playing as Pac-Man in this game was at times.
Anyway,
I mean,
this
I enjoyed this game. It wasn't stellar, but
yeah, I actually enjoyed this. Our history with it, or some
yes, that's the next question I was going to ask.
Yeah, I am just fucking this up.
You're good.
I actually played this game as a kid.
Man.
Yeah, that. No, I actually had this game for PlayStation as a kid, and
I'm sorry for you.
Well, I was like, for the longest time, I never played it because I was like, GTA exists, and I have the Jack games and like Sly Cooper, and then at some point I was like, I should play this Pac-Man game that I have that looks super weird, and it's definitely super weird, but it's got this weird little charm to it that I enjoy.
When you say the Jack games, you mean the you don't know Jack games, right?
Yeah.
Good one, Stefan. Good one. If I had drums, I'd go doo-doo, but I do not have drums. So.
No, but
I mean the Jack Doritos Flash game that I was playing.
Yeah.
Hey, Doritos Crash Course with the blue dinosaur is a good game, or not Crash Course. The Crash Course games where you run around like you're playing the stupid Japanese show are good games. I will die on that.
360 demo.
Yes, I will die on that pillar alone.
Wasn't there a game called Jack about motorcycles?
I don't know. If only we had the internet at our fingertips.
All
right, I'm going to talk about how my first experience with this game was.
Jacked by Sproing.
My first experience with this game when DJ picked it on the show, and I found out it actually exists. That was my first experience with this game. I didn't know it existed until he picked it. Hell, this game had 2 other sequels. I never had heard of PacMan World before.
Well, somebody liked it apparently because, like you said, 2 sequels.
Yeah, reviewed fairly well. It got like 7.5s and 8s.
Yeah.
As much as I'm gonna hate on this game throughout this episode, I'm sure it's not a bad game. I want to get that out right there.
It reminded me of like 4 different games mixed into one. You got your Super Mario 64. You got your Crash Bandicoot type levels. You got your Banjo-Kazooie, and a little bit of Cuphead. A little bit.
But hey, you know what? Pac-Man at least can jump on enemies, unlike Batman. I'm sorry. That came out there for a second.
Hey.
I'm not going to forgive you for that one.
This is also the game that brought the Dig Dug universe and the Pac-Man universe into canonical existence together.
Yeah, one of the... who wants to go first and tell the story of this game? Like the beginning, opening. Anybody?
Oh, man.
Real quick, Dig Dug being the only one actually apparently wasn't supposed to be the plan originally. They were supposed to have all kinds of Namco characters like Mappy and
well, that's a shame because that would have been really cool.
That would have been cooler.
Yeah.
Except I didn't care about anybody in this game.
You didn't care about Baby Pac-Man Jr.?
Right? They Baby Pac-Man, Pac-Man Jr.,
or the old Pac-Man.
Yeah, old man Pac-Man who's Professor Pac-Man.
Wife Pac-Man.
He worked hard for that doctorate, sir.
It was Miss Pac-Man, Baby Pac-Man, Junior Pac-Man, Professor Pac-Man, and don't forget his dog, Chomp Chomp.
Yeah.
And Puka
from
Dig
Ultimate
Puka
Pac-Man.
was from Dig Dug, yeah.
Yes.
There was no Ultimate Pac-Man. I'm sorry, sir.
And then the classic ghosts as well. You had Blinky, Inky, Pinky, and Clyde.
Right?
And and Orson.
Orson?
Orson, the new ghost who we'll talk about, but
oh my god, he has his name?
Yeah, he has a name. He's Orson.
Oh.
Okay.
Like the West.
I'll set the story. Okay, so when you first start this game up, you get an awesome FMV cutscene. Maybe it was awesome in 1999. It was not. It was stupid, but it was okay. So
it's
you get your awesome.
It's certainly different.
The whole story of this game is they're trying to kidnap Pac-Man, but they suck, right? And they're kidnapping all his family or something.
Basically, yeah, they're trying to kidnap Pac-Man. The ghosts are.
It's just, and they fail terribly.
Yeah, so Pac-Man it starts with
Pac-Man's 20th birthday.
It's his 20th birthday. It's like it's like Wallace and Gromit level animation. But it's just like somebody vomited color. Like somebody ate a whole box of crowns and vomited on the screen.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah. It's real weird. Pac-Man he's coming home. Doesn't he have a suitcase too?
Yeah,
he has a suitcase. 20 and he's just coming from his first job or something, and he's coming home for his birthday.
Right, because any breadwinning man has a briefcase.
Yeah. He has a briefcase and a little hat, which I always love.
It's so stupid.
It's like somebody had to have a conversation where they're like, well, how would we show that Pac-Man's adult? Briefcase and hat, no problem. I love the idea that somebody out there was spending time trying to figure out how to animate a tie on him, and they just gave up.
It's just odd. And the whole story is because they kidnapped his friends, and then when they kidnap his friend, even they don't want Pac-Man to ever come. Not like we're gonna capture your friend, you can't get him back. They want nothing to do with Pac-Man, but they leave a stupid ticket that says Pac-Man at the Ghost Island, so he swims.
So yeah, they leave it like a concert, like Pac-Man's playing at Ghost Island.
So, a boss.
Well, I originally thought they were trying to get him to go there, and that's why they're capturing his friends. And I'm like, okay. And then you find out a little bit, spoilers for Pac-Man.
No, they're just completely incompetent.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of like the Lego Ninjago movie with all the incompetent Lego generals. Those are the ghosts in this movie. They're just they're trying their best, but they just suck at everything.
I wonder how many people got that reference.
People out there watch the Lego Ninjago movie. It's pretty good. It's got Jackie Chan in it. I'll watch anything with Jackie Chan.
None of us here have watched it. I don't think.
You all should watch it. It's got Jackie Chan and Morgan Freeman in it. It doesn't have Morgan Freeman in that one actually.
So I'm a little confused. So there's a Robo Pac-Man.
There's a series of movies that are all Lego based. There was a Batman one and
we're not talking about Pac-Man here anymore, Stefan. Come
on. That's what you were asking about, right? The Lego movies.
He said Robo Pac-Man.
Robo Pac-Man in PacMan World.
Pac-Man.
Paku.
Yeah, there's a clearly mechanical, again, it's like Nightmare Before Christmas or Wallace and Gromit level animation, and it's like a steampunk Pac-Man that's like steam is shooting out of him, and he's leaking oil, and it's crudely painted. But everyone's like, oh yeah, that's definitely Pac-Man.
Yeah, and they believe it too. They're like, oh, that's Pac-Man. And I'm like, what?
Which raises a very important question.
I mean, Pac-Man was killing your kind, for years and 20 years to be.
That's also important. But what I was getting at is Pac-Man made of metal?
You can turn into metal, like he thinks he's Mario from Mario 64.
Yeah, you wouldn't need the metal power up if Pac-Man was made of metal.
Exactly. So Pac-Man's organic, then.
In some form or fashion, yeah, I would believe so.
Because I spent a lot of time wondering about that as a kid. I saw metal Pac-Man, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that's definitely Pac-Man." And I was like, "Is Pac-Man made of some kind of like alloy?" I never thought of it as metal, and then I was like, "Wait, no. If he's organic, then." Is he like a Kirby material? What does Pac-Man feel like? That's really what I want to know. What does Pac-Man feel like?
He always seemed like a sentient lemon to me, to be honest.
Sentient lemon. So he's Lemon Grab from Adventure
I never thought these questions.
Unacceptable!
Oh God, please no.
Oh man. Oh, so this game is since we haven't really said it, it's a 3D platformer. Think of kind of something like Mario 64. No, I'm thinking something like Crash Bandicoot.
It's only a 3D platformer sometimes.
It's a little like all of them, yeah.
It's a strange game. Like
it has a lot of different elements. It's kind of like a Wario World, Wario Land. WarioWare situation where it's like they're just gonna keep throwing in different game types. Like at some the Pac-Man mazes are in the game. Like you find
they're not fun.
I thought they were.
They're 3D Pac-Man game.
Yeah.
Like the original Pac-Man, but 3D.
Yeah, but I only
go to a door, it switches to top down, and you got to collect the pellets and turn the ghost blue.
Well, I guess that's because I don't really care for Pac-Man in the first place, so that didn't help.
Pac-Man's great.
My wife loved Miss Pac-Man. Like she's really good at it, and me and her played it before, and I'm terrible at it, and she's making fun of me when we first met. But
prefer Miss Pac. I've always wondered about that. People prefer Miss Pac-Man.
It's a little faster, I think, or something.
Yeah, there's actual differences. I mean, it's basically a sequel, so it's just better designed in general. But
I think it was a hack at first. Somebody hacked Pac-Man or something and made it, and then it became a sequel.
I think that everybody out there is just secretly attracted to Miss Pac-Man.
I am attracted to a lot of the characters we talk about on this show, but this is not one of them. Sorry. She wasn't a blonde. She didn't have boots. You know,
you're more of a Professor Pac-Man kind of guy.
Professor.
He's got tenure.
I'm more of a shoe guy myself.
Another question about Miss Pac-Man. They have kids, but they're not married?
No. Sinners!
Or is Miss Pac-Man just dating Pac-Man and the kids are Professor Pac-Man? Like they're his
Professor Pac-Man's kids?
Yeah. Like what's the situation here? Because it's Pac-Man Jr. and Baby Pac. I think it's just called Baby Pac.
Yeah.
And
Baby Pac-Man. Baby Pac-Man. Gotta make sure you had the man at the end.
He's a baby man.
It's Baby Pac-Man. Pac-Man's because Baby Pac-Man's a girl, I think. She's got like a little bow. I've opened the wiki and it just says gender unknown.
So
all right,
she's in transition.
This game's broken into 6 worlds, which I thought was kind of interesting too. Like you have about 3 or 4 levels in each world, and you have a boss fight. I played the first level. God, I'm going to tell the story in the show. I played the first level about 4 or 5 times or more. So, because first I played it on a PS1 emulator, and then I couldn't save. So I did it a couple times. Found out, okay, my PS1 emulator not working. So then I bought it the only legal way to get it on PSN, PS3, and PSP only. So then I start playing it on PS3. Then I realized within the second world, I can't fucking play this game without save states.
It's a hard game.
Yeah, there are certain parts, and there's no real quick way to get level ups. When you Google this game, like, okay, I'm going to look, because most platformers always have something you can do to get a lot of level ups really fast. There is nothing really about this game. There is one walkthrough. There are barely even any screenshots of PacMan World online. Like, it is. People talk about the second one more, but people forget this one even exists. I found out it was.
It's certainly it's a kind of forgotten game that's really funny to me because people don't know about Pac-Man World, but they know about Pac-Man World 2 and 3, and so you think logically they'd be able to determine that there is a Pac-Man World 1.
That's because
there's.
You keep going.
There's basically how you play this game is it's a lot like Super Mario 64. So instead of jumping into paintings, you're just going into these little like hovels with like gems in them. And as soon as you get into the level, it's like a theme world, just like Super Mario 64. So, and like one's a factory, one's what was that dumb one?
For you, sir,
what was the second one? That one
The second one is called the Ruins area.
Oh, I hated that one.
Area at the end of each one, because that is their correct name, sir.
I thought it was World.
The area.
Pirate World.
Area. The walkthrough said. I don't know. Maybe it's wrong.
The walkthrough is
PacMan
wrong.
area.
It's different worlds.
That makes more sense in area.
Yeah, because otherwise there would be a space area existing next to a pirate area, and that just doesn't make any
sense. Yeah.
None of this makes any sense. Why do you have these little doors on your island that lead to terrible places full of nightmares?
Well, it's like a very classic PlayStation adventure game where you have all the standard areas. Like where would a 3D platformer Pac-Man game start? Naturally, in a world of pirates.
Yeah, I like the pirate world a lot. Like the game isn't that hard yet. It introduces you to the different mechanics of butt stomping, and butt stomping. And you
it also does my favorite.
That's mainly all you did in this game.
I mean, don't forget you could throw your pack dots too.
Yeah, but he jumps. He shoots them. He throws them at the ground. It's like he's trying to pitch to nobody. Like it's terrible.
He's too top heavy.
A baseball player, he is not.
I would.
Half of baseball is knowing how to twist your hips, and Pac-Man doesn't have hips, Mike.
He got legs.
It all makes sense.
Jump.
You can't.
He's got a
legs.
butt.
It's all in the hips, Mike. It's all in the hips.
I used to pellet only on the enemies.
Let's say Happy Gilmore. Yeah, it is Happy Gilmore, right? Which was the Yeah. Have you seen Happy Gilmore?
I have.
It's all in the hips, Mike.
Long time. How do we end up with Adam Sandler references on the show too all the time?
Oh, we had to get one in there.
It's been a while. We haven't had one for a few episodes, so we had to find a way to sneak it in there. All right.
We have our three points of reference: Adam Sandler, Dragon Ball, and like C-Facts or something. I don't know.
Somehow, I blame Clanker.
The ship boss though was actually pretty badass. Yes.
Yes, I enjoyed that. Like you're running down the boardwalk.
Is what it's called.
Well, that's why I felt this game was like kind of Cuphead-ish because of that boss. Like just the way he looks aesthetically, it looks like a old cartoon character.
Yeah,
from
I like
the
Renaissance. So. You had to bounce on these patterns to knock up.
It does my favorite boss thing, where
you didn't like this fight.
Himself.
I didn't mind this fight. I hated Anubis Rex fight.
That was pretty bad.
My frames per second went down to like 5, and I had to beat him that way. So you tell me about this fight.
Obviously, the best fight is King Galaxian because the screen totally breaks and tries to do like an explosion effect, and it just doesn't work.
That might have been your copy of the game, sir.
My copy of the game had a lot of issues because the sound cut out, the music kept cutting out at the last levels.
We had a nightmare trying to make this game work too. I feel like all of us were.
If I spent too long in a level, the music would just stop, like it gave up. Which is, I love when games do that. I love when they're like, well, we weren't expecting you to like explore. This isn't that kind of game, so I guess the music just ends here. We only decided to loop it 5 times.
I was so confused by that all the time.
Yeah,
I turned off the music. I mean, it was okay, but I had podcasts going for this game, or I was talking on the phone at one point because that's how much I cared about what was happening in the game. I was just like, I need to play this for the show. I need to beat it with save states, of course.
And but if you played it with music, then you could have stuck around for when the music ends and the game gets like really eerily dramatic.
There's nothing dramatic about this game.
Without music, it turns into fucking Silent Hill.
With clouds hunting you down and what are
just hear waka 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 and then silence, like the wind blowing.
I did like it when you'd open doors, you hit a switch or something would happen, you get pellets that would come out, and then the ghost sometimes would appear with the pellets for some reason, and then you get the power pellet and you get the sounds and you eat the ghost. I did enjoy that, and they give you extra health.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of old Pac-Man.
I mean, I guess it's your basic, like you were saying earlier, basic 3D platformer. It's just, I mean, it has like everything in there. You have a level with mine carts because you got to have mine carts. You have a level.
Mine carts. You got to have a fun house. You got to have clowns.
Ugh, fucking clowns. Oh,
speaking of, that clown free was probably my favorite of the bosses to fight.
Clown free. It's great.
Yeah. That was a fun fight. I shouldn't even say a fight. You're just driving.
Well, yeah, you're racing.
And you get fruit, I think it is, the fruit there, or something you get that gives you power-ups and you can boost, but the boosting is not that...
power pellets.
Yeah, power pellets.
That's what
you can collect fruit in this game, though, because it's Pac-Man. You get like bananas and apples.
And the fruit opens doors, but it also does something else, right? I never used it. Like, I saw a little meter would kind of start... after you finish the level, there's a little fanfare thing or something where it shows you putting all the fruit into a blender, and it does something, but I never got far enough to figure it out.
Fruit in a blender, I would imagine that's a smoothie.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too. I mean,
makes a nice smoothie, and then Pac-Man
in there.
Yeah, and then after the game ends, Pac-Man takes a very long shit. Jesus, I've had diarrhea for 3 weeks.
He does.
I've been stuck in. There's no toilets in space.
He needs some more fiber in those smoothies.
I imagine when Pac-Man poops, it's just like pellets. It's the same thing. It's like he's like a hamster.
Maybe that's what he's throwing at the enemies. He's throwing his own shit at the enemies. I mean, it does come out of his ass. Oh god,
fair
that's
enough.
with the show. All right, one thing that this game does a lot is it tries to find different creative ways to make platforming annoying and hellish, at least to me. And I really enjoyed the first 2 levels. And you get to the 3rd level, Crazy Cannonade, and you had to jump on the cannons would pop open and shoot a cannon. You had to jump on the wood that came up when the cannon shoots. And I don't like platformers. Like I do not like these type of games at all. Really, so that's partly why.
I think I really enjoyed how this game took the like normal platforming and made it like a little fun. So like a lot of playing around with like cameras and different things becoming platforms and disappearing. I thought that was really cool.
It's not a bad game. Like there's nothing really bad about it. It's just, I mean, to me it was very hard, but also I'm not the kind of person that plays this type of stuff, so I don't like this era of games that much where there aren't a lot of checkpoints.
Right, that's back in the era of right when the 3D platformers first kind of came out. They were all hard. They were all pretty challenging for the most part. I mean,
they weren't necessarily challenging for the right reason.
Gamers these days don't know what a challenge is.
I'm okay. I love that fact.
It auto saves every 5 seconds, so you never lose any progress.
Well, the part that broke me on this game to why I went right back to the emulator, even though I had the legal copy of it, was there. Okay, so I figured, I run out of lives. The game will just, restart over, give me 4 or 5 lives, and I'll redo the level at the beginning level. I'm like, okay, I accept that. This game doesn't do that. It says, oh, fuck you, game over. And I'm like, what? I mean, you can load your save, but if I was to end up where I barely beat a level, have 1 hit left, 1 life, I'm fucked. Like, I could just keep redoing the first level over and over and over again. But that's what broke me. That's when I went, okay, we're going back to the emulater.
So I don't know if to be fair, the controls on this are actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not bad. They're not like, I don't know what to equate it to.
Well, like they're simple.
They're not like Crash Bandicoot 1 where there's a slight lag that just drives you insane.
Yes. It was responsive. I mean, you get a few power-ups. It gives you a decent amount of health throughout the levels. I felt like it does reward you a lot with health, and it just has some weird jumps, but that's more personal problem.
There's power-ups. You can turn into Metal Pac-Man.
Sorry, Metal Mario?
So yeah, you turn into Metal Mario. Nobody's made the character turn to metal before, all right? That was a Pac-Man first. Ignore Mario. Pretend Mario doesn't exist.
I don't know if it worked for the emulator, but in my exploration of things to talk about, you could, in standard Namco fashion, there was a cheat code you could put in to get extra lives on the PlayStation version, at least.
I couldn't find it. You talking about where you hit select?
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't actually work in the main of 3D platformer part. It only works if you decide to play old Pac-Man. I tried that. I'm like, okay, if I can do 99 lives, I don't give a shit. I'll give myself lives. Nope. And there is a cheat in this game. There's a cheat code for invincibility. So, okay, so I did the invincibility cheat. The invincibility cheat only works if you beat a level, which makes sense. Like if you go back in a level to get power-ups or to find a key or find your friend.
Like a new game
find all the letters for Pac-Man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we should. Thank you. You want to go and talk about that?
Yeah, every stage you have to find every level. For some reason, in PacMan World, you are spelling out the word Pac-Man.
PACMAN.
And I really like that because I don't know, there's something like really weird and dumb about Pac-Man collecting the letters to Pac-Man. And that's
on Ghost Island, mind you.
Well, at the very least, it rewarded you. It sent you to a bonus level.
The bonus level was cool. I only did them once because I didn't give a shit about the letters, but the bonus level was really cool. Anyone want to talk about it?
Well, in the PlayStation version, it's a little different. In the PlayStation version, it unlocks like outtakes from cutscenes.
If you get it, so in each individual level,
no one can talk.
If you spell out the letters of Pac-Man, you get this bonus level at the end of the stage. If you do that for every single level, that's where you get the outtakes.
Yeah, the outtakes are great because somebody took the time to animate the cutscenes going poorly, which I really appreciate.
Stefan, you were going to say something?
I was just going to compare it to Super Mario 64, or I was going to ask, really, wasn't there like sections at the end of each level where you had to collect like red coins or something?
Well, that was part of the levels to usually get one of the stars. You had to collect 8 red coins.
Okay.
And I just heard the sound
like that
when you collect 8 red coins in my head just now too.
This is very much Namco's attempt to like
make Mario 64.
Bite off of Super Mario 64 and make their own Super Mario game.
It comes up in later games too, like Donkey Kong Country. You have to spell the word Kong, and
that kind of became a standard,
a staple.
Yeah,
I mean, platformer staple.
I mean, Pac-Man snuck in there in 1999, and people don't talk about it, and I feel like they should because it did a lot of stuff really well. Like
nobody talks about this game.
People talk about
that's why we're doing it.
That's why we're talking about it. People talk about Super Mario 64, but Super Mario 64 is really annoying to play.
Well, Stuart, since you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Spoilers.
Is that in y'all's future?
Not yet. I've been thinking about it though.
We're in talks. It's on the short list.
We're in discussions about it. Trying to talk to Nintendo, get the rights for it.
I think this game is like aged pretty well considering it's still I think it's still pretty fun to play. I don't like I usually am not a big platformer guy, which I'm super excited for next week. But I'm usually not a big platformer guy. I don't typically love games from this era as a rule. Some people say like everything old is good and everything new is shit. I'm not that kind of person. I'm usually like everything new is awesome and I love everything. But
everything old is shit.
Everything old is shit. Everything old did what they could. The future is now, old man.
Like, I mean, this game, like, it does handle well. I mean, I like the 3D type levels. Like, they are like, you have levels that are side scrollers, but you can go more towards you or farther away from you. You jump, it gives that kind of dimensional to it.
Sometimes the camera will like shift a little bit, like Fez style.
I know.
This game does a lot of really fun stuff. It's a side scroller game in a 3D environment.
That's a good comparison. I mean, there's a lot of power-ups, as we said before. You collect the fruit goes to doors. I do love the sound effect when he tries to open a door he doesn't have the key to, and you just hear him shake the door, and it's like, I love that. I don't know why, but I love that sound effect.
I would say, though, that if anyone wants to play this game, they have to realize something about it that's kind of different than, say, Mario 64, is when you do the platforming in this game, you have to commit to what you're doing. Because there are points where if you make a jump and you're not committed to following through with whatever's in front of you, you're always going to die every single time.
Well, there are times where, there's a lot of jumps in this game that are like, you have to do the butt bounce and really send yourself flying and hope for the best.
Yeah, and you got to jump to things you might not be able to see right away. You can see them, but they're not. And the one thing I learned in this game, like, you can't run and jump. If you run and then you go to jump, you're just like, fuck you, and just like doesn't jump or something happens. I had to happen to me a lot.
Oh, well, you were probably doing the roll. You were probably like about to go into the roll.
Well, even like when you'd be running on one of the fans that you have to run on, and then I'd go to jump, and I would try to do it while he's running, and hit the jump button. Like, okay, I'm going to jump farther. He just like and falls to the ground and dies.
But I mean, this game also throws in enough different stuff that, like, the game is really broken up, which I really like. So there's like 3D platforming, and then the Pac-Man mazes, but then you'll go into like the boss battle where, like, the first boss battle with the HMS Windbag is you.
You just
it's a great name. It's like Stefan said, it's a very Cuphead fight where, like, he's in the background and you're in the foreground on like a little platform, and you're just raising up little like totems that have a trampoline on them, and the cannonballs hit them and bounce back. And that's just such a fun fight, and it's so different from the rest of the game, I feel like. And then it's like, you got racing, you got a fucking like missile command segment in the game.
Missile command segment? When was that?
Or like the Galaga segment.
Oh, the Galaga, yeah. Okay, we should talk about that. So when you beat the space area, you fight the third boss of this game, which
Galaxian.
is I would have never seen the end of that fight if I didn't have save states, because you get into a little spaceship, and the game is pretty much, it's Galaga. Like, you are at the bottom of the screen. It's 3D-ish kind of Galaga. You're shooting buggies or whatever the hell you're shooting, and then you get,
and you're
and then you go
through the environment as well.
It's a long, and if you die and restart, like if you die anytime during that fight, you start at the very beginning of that whole level.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I had save states, so I didn't care, but I found out, and I'm like, oh, I would have been angry.
That was my favorite part of the game because I played the shit. I think we talked about this in the bonus episode, but we'd go to CC's Pizza and I would just play the shit out of Galaga. I loved Galaga, and yeah, having a Galaga section in a Pac-Man game, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Oh, off topic, but since you mentioned it, the bonus episode is still coming. We just had some technical difficulties.
Yes, we are working on it, and it will be up there eventually.
Hopefully, hopefully soon.
I mean, we can release it now if people like being deaf, but
I'm tempted. Okay, but then you go through the King Galaxian fight. I mean, it's just long. Like I mean, I know it's part of that time where you go through a whole phase, you hit the guy so many times, and then you go you go through another phase, you fight little enemies again, then they add a little different. And that game does this a lot with the boss fights, and I don't like that.
I think it just feels long because that whole segment is on rails, whereas the rest of the game you're pretty open to move around, and so it feels like you have a lot more control.
All the boss fights feel like an endurance fight, because I mean, like for most of the boss fights besides the King Galaxian, it does checkpoint throughout the fight. Once you hit him or hurt him a couple times, except for King Galaxian and the final fight, it does not. It checkpoints, and that's one thing I thought was kind of nice. But it also is like it's just really a game of endurance. I mean, can you handle all the bullshit being thrown at you within a fight? And it just goes on longer than it needed.
It's pretty typical of like an early adventure game where the boss fight is the boss is going to like hurt himself in some way, and you just need to find out like what to activate to make him do that.
Yeah, stay away from this stuff.
Which again is my favorite kind of boss fight. So
specifically, at least for King Galaxian, I imagine it was only in there for those people that played Galaxian or Galaga and that type of game where it was
just for me.
Right. Stuart really enjoyed it because of his adventures at CC's Pizza, where he went and played Galaga for like 9 hours straight.
Every trip to CC's Pizza is an adventure because of all the risk in eating that pizza.
Yeah, let's just leave pizza out on the counter and have strangers eat it all day long.
Yeah, dropped it on the floor. Oh well, put it back up on the counter. It's fine.
That's a phase in general, I think. I used to work at a fast food place.
Is a special kind of like awful.
And we did things that like I tell everybody I will not eat fast food in the last hour. Do not go in the last hour before they close, especially not the last half an hour. Do not. They want nothing to do with you. You want nothing to do with the food they're going to serve you.
Yeah. I mean, as a general rule, be nice to anyone who serves you food. Because I can promise you, I used to work in a grocery store deli, and I can promise you, be nice to people who serve you food. Not that I ever did anything wrong to the food that I'd admit on public recording.
Don't worry, he can cut it out later. Go ahead and tell us.
Yeah.
We'll never tell.
Yeah. I think I've told you before.
All right.
You've definitely told me before.
The fourth area. Okay.
Salad.
The fourth area of this game is the fun house area, which you talked about a little bit, where you have the clown pre, where you're doing the race for a boss fight, which was cool. But I hated the fun house area. It was just,
I think that was the roughest part of the game for me.
That's
hard. Was tough, but the clown pre, I love Mario Kart, and I just got Mario Kart vibes from it. Granted, not like in a battle type of sense, but just having a racing game.
I mean, you don't even really fight them. You're just trying to race them.
Mario Kart. Ridge Racer. This is a Namco game.
Never played that game. Sorry. I can only reference things that I know, and your niche Ridge Racer is not one of them.
Pole Position.
Pole Position, that's
Namco. People know Namco.
I know Pole Position.
It was a good fight, except for like the camera view is downward, so you can't even see where the hell you're going.
Yeah,
you can fly off the edge.
And in front of you, they just lay bombs scattered across the freaking road.
It's similar to it's similar to playing like GTA like 4 or 5. Actually, yeah. Imagine playing GTA 5 and turning on cinematic camera and trying to race like that. Like that's
kind of when I was doing this. The clown free fight, I was talking to Stefan on the phone at the same time, using save states, of course, and it just like I had a stupid glitch happen to me. So I'm driving the race. I hit a couple bombs earlier, no big deal. I'm in first place. I'm knocked everyone out. I'm getting near the finish line, and all of a sudden I hit the bomb near the finish line, and I just die. And I had full health. I just die and start over. I'm like, what? I had a save state.
Mike was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, I died."
See, the clown, like the funhouse level in general was difficult for me, but it was my favorite level when the sound cut out because it was just a bunch of quiet clown like stalking you, and I was
That
like,
does
this
sound
is
like-
terrifying.
Oh, like there's a little green enemies that in the column that when they hit you, they laugh at you. And there's nothing more
like
insulting in the
bird
game.
things.
Yeah, when you died, you're like, and I'm like, fuck you.
It's insulting.
Oh no, they weren't birds. They were plane. They were tiny little RC planes, as driven by a clown.
I mean, it's just.
There's
and
an
the
idea
parts
for PacMan World 4, a horror game.
I don't think that's happening, sir.
Like,
Hey man,
No Pac-Man
don't crush
4.
my dreams.
Oh god, PacMan World 4, written by Kojima and Guillermo del Toro.
Right?
Oh,
buy it.
he ate one too many pellets over the years.
Namco's finally coming after Konami.
Pac-Man Hills.
PacMan. Oh, it would just be instead of PT, it's PM.
Pac-Man.
PacMan.
P.M.
All right, and then after you finish the terrible, horrible funhouse area, you go to probably one of my favorite areas in the game. You go to the factory area, or factory world.
With
I like the factory.
My favorite boss in name, at least.
What was it?
He's the Chrome Keeper.
Yeah.
God, that's terrible.
It sounds like something out of like. It legitimately sounds like something out of like an old Tim Burton movie, like Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, we have to go speak to the Chrome Keeper. I can't even say his name.
I noticed. That's definitely one of the fights that really tests your endurance. That's a really test your endurance fight.
Yeah.
Like I even with save states, I gave up like 4 or 5 lives a couple times just to refill my health because it checkpoints after every hit you do on the guy.
Well, he kicked the whole fight is him. Like, he's standing up on a platform just kicking boxes at you.
Well, he kicks rocks at you, then he kicks rocks at you, or something. I don't even remember.
He kicks, there's wooden boxes and metal boxes. The metal boxes explode when they hit the ground because
that makes sense.
Yeah, because metal explodes.
They're full of gas or gunpowder or
it's
who knows?
It's the gunpowder factory. That's how all those people die. That's why everyone's a ghost. They just built gunpowder factories everywhere.
And speaking of the ghosts in there, I do like what in each of the different worlds you have ghosts that wear something to fit the area. Like in the factory area, they're wearing little hard hats, which is I like that.
Yeah,
it made me smile. Okay, back to the boss. So in the boss fight, you're running around.
Don't they have
little
astronaut helmets on, even though they're ghosts?
Yeah.
Even hard hats is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, but hard.
I just love the idea. Is like, all right, all you dead people, come here. We have to care about work safety. So OSHA requires, even if you're dead, OSHA requires you to wear this hard hat.
Dead or not, we got to follow OSHA regulations.
Yeah. Okay. The first guy who died was the OSHA director, and he was like, well, now that I'm here, I'm changing a few things.
Okay, so back to the Chrome Keeper.
His name was Clyde. Clyde OSHA.
All right, so the Chrome Keeper, like you run. I mean, that fight was just annoying because you run around. He throws the boxes. You turn into Metal Sonic, and you go and you have to hit these stupid vents. Keep shooting out gas at you, which hurts. You can still butt bounce it, but you'll take damage if you're not metal.
You turned into Chrome Pac-Man because Chrome was the future in the 90s.
No, it kind of was, and this was 99. This came out right at the tail end of 99.
Well, we shouldn't say he's Metal Pac-Man because he's shiny as fuck. He is Chrome Pac-Man.
Robo Pac-Man.
We've all seen SpongeBob, right? Everything is Chrome in the future.
Is Chrome.
Also,
Pac-Man's perfect future. Everything is Chrome.
Oh,
everything is Chrome and everyone's dead. The perfect future.
But they still wear hats.
But they still wear hard hats, just in case.
For safety reasons. And I like how, like, in the last...
Wouldn't want to turn into double ghosts.
I do like near the end of the factory world, or when the world before the boss, you go and freaking self-destruct the plant, essentially. Like, you hit a button that says, do not hit, and then you place it blowing up and everything. I really like that. He just ruins their island.
Chrome Keeper is also the only one that, like, makes sense within this world.
Are you telling me that you don't think King Galaxian made sense? I don't understand.
I like the idea that King Galaxian was just, like, some entity out in space that Pac-Man was like, I'm gonna go kill this motherfucker for no reason. Like, forget saving my family. I gotta go kill. God, who was the name of what's the name of the giant supervillain in the Marvel comics?
That was
Galactus.
Galactus, yeah, the Planet Eater. It's like Galactus is out there, and Pac-Man's like, I'm gonna go kill him for no reason.
One boss we hadn't talked about in the Ruins area, you fight Anubis Rex. That's the fight that broke me.
Yeah, that fight sucked so bad. Basically, what you have to do is... God, what the hell do you have to do? Well, you have to, like, jump on platforms and You have to avoid shit. You know what? I don't remember.
Okay, you jump on fans. You run on fans until the mouth opens.
Break his heart, Steve.
Yes, and then after his mouth opens, you run into his heart.
All Anubis Rex wants to do is love, and you are tearing it apart.
And it does the famous platformer thing. Okay, the first set, we threw fireballs at you. Now we're going to throw tornadoes at you and fireballs. Now we're going to throw homing fireballs at you and tornadoes.
Sets of 3. Everything happens in sets of 3, and PacMan World is no different.
Except for some of those later boss fights, you hit them like 10 times, I feel like.
But there's like 3 stages to it. It's usually like, all right, stage 1 of the boss fight, you got to hit them 2 times. Second stage, hit them 3 times. Third stage, hit them 4 times.
Which I know is classic, especially style of the game at the time. I guess I'm realizing I didn't play a lot of PlayStation 1 games. I skipped majority of them. I'm realizing.
I have a theory that's why so many people are OCD nowadays, is because every video game from the past, everything had to be in sets of 3s. So now everyone's like got this subconscious idea that everything needs to be in 3s. I mean, perfectly patterned.
I don't know what to say, sir. I don't
know. That's gonna be my thesis for college.
Okay. Oh, and the last world that we hadn't talked about yet is the mansion world.
The last world.
I was so happy.
Party mansion.
This ain't no party mansion. This is freaking like, it's like a nightmare, like spooky mansion with.
Well, yeah, that's one thing we actually haven't mentioned that yet. Is that every level is actually like a match of 2 things. Like every level decides to take 2 different levels and put them together. So the ruins is dinosaurs in Egypt for some reason.
That's a good point.
2 things that are old, I guess. But then you have Funhouse, which is clowns and racing.
Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but
those clowns don't race, though. I mean, come on, man.
Space is like spaceships and underwater because it's a giant enemy crab. It's King Galaxian.
I guess he does have Pincher, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a giant enemy crab. I think that some of the ships are like sea creature based too.
They just reminded me of stuff from Galaga.
Yeah, everything is 2 things meshed together in like this really strange way that I actually kind of enjoy. I like how it makes everything feel like just kind of different. Makes it unique. Like I can't think of any other game where, all right, you've gotten to the dinosaur Egypt level.
It's a strange game.
Go kill the Sphinx Rex.
And there's also like there aren't really any. It's not the type of 3D platform with NPCs really. I mean, you do have the friends that you have to rescue.
What are you talking about? Yeah, you got Pac-Man's family and also Puka.
They all have one line too. Once you rescue them, you talk to them. They're like, "Thanks," and they disappear. They don't give you any items. They just disappear.
Yeah, they got shit to do. All right, they gotta
unlock the final door.
They gotta go figure out if they're metal or organic.
I actually didn't. I finished this game before. Well, I finished all levels before, and then I didn't rescue everybody. Then I'm like, oh.
Well, actually, no. They very specifically they have to go back to the house, clean it up, and get ready to throw a party again.
Well, it's not their house. It wasn't their house.
Is that what happened?
I like to think that they all lived together.
Well, they were all visiting Pac-Man in the opening cutscene. They were all going to his house, and they got kidnapped outside his house, I thought.
No, the only one that... I think the only one that didn't live there was Professor Pac-Man, wasn't it? Because it's Miss Pac-Man, Professor Pac-Man, Junior Pac-Man.
Well, the only one who definitely doesn't live there is Puka. Puka is just... Surely he's just visiting from the Dig Dug universe.
Well, he was babysitting baby Pac-Man.
He was even though Miss Pac-Man was there.
Yeah.
He was babysitting.
I want to make a joke, but it's inappropriate.
It's not Miss Pac-Man's kid.
Are you telling me Puka was sleeping with Miss Pac-Man behind Pac-Man's back? We still don't know if Miss Pac-Man is indeed dating Pac-Man. We don't know about that yet. Okay. So maybe it's not cheating. I don't know.
Is Puka the main character from Dig Dug?
No, he's one of the
enemies.
Yeah, he's one of the random enemies. Yeah, so one of the enemies of Dig Dug is Pac-Man's friend.
Well, apparently Dig Dug is not their friend then, huh? Because he's murdering them.
It'd be kind of like if you played Legend of Zelda and out of nowhere Zelda was like hanging out with one of the Koopa kids and they were like best friends. Like, hey, what's up?
That was not where I thought that joke was going.
I think I was going to say.
I don't know, but I wasn't.
Zelda was hanging out with a Chomp Chomp. I was like, hey, what's up, Chomp Chomp?
Yeah.
So this is the final level.
The mansion was strange.
Which is also a haunted mansion.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It got a little challenging, but it wasn't I did like
they're ghosts. Of course, it's a haunted mansion.
I did like the skeletons that blow the fire at you. Those amused me with the little top hats. I don't know.
Yeah, they were cute.
Yeah, it's like It's like the Haunted Mansion Disney ride. Like that's kind of what this level is. Or like that's giving it too much credit. It's like a state fair's haunted house where it's like one of the fluorescent super cheap skeletons comes out and you're like, oh.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me medieval. The other PS1 game. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's something about medieval, right? With the skeleton?
Medieval, yes. Yeah. I think it's medieval.
Medieval.
I've never played it much. I know of it.
It's good.
It's kind of like Psychonauts in a way. That kind of humor, that kind of like goofiness. Yeah, it's pretty good. We should put it on the list.
Speaking of, that's getting an HD remake. So.
Yes, it is. So fucking excited.
Aren't there a couple of them, or is there only one?
Just the one.
Just the one.
Actually.
I think the game had sequels.
Inside joke.
I get that reference.
Anyway.
I wasn't making a joke. I honestly thought it had sequels.
No. Stuart, I told a joke that only Stuart got because
there's some people out there that get it.
It'll make sense to somebody in the audience, and then I'll be happy.
You just call out Sam directly.
I won't know, but they'll know, and then I'll know that they know.
And after you finish the mansion, after you rescue,
a sequel. I should mention that there is a Psychonauts 2 in development. It got funded. It's just nothing's come out about it yet.
It's gonna be another one of those games we gotta wait 20 years for.
Maybe. I mean, like it raised almost $4 million. I want to say for development.
It's a really good game.
And I think they mentioned it at E3.
Did they? It's just Tim Schafer. Like, don't worry, we're still doing it.
Yep.
Don't freak out. Yeah. So there's a Psychonauts 2 that supposedly is coming out. It's important. Psychonauts is very good.
Yes, better than this game.
So the final boss fight.
Yes, I did not like that. I mean, that boss fight was interesting. I didn't like the fact of I had save states, so I didn't really care. But that is a really long fight. Like they just make you.
It's a lot like fighting Bowser. You're just on a platform, and you've just got to avoid his hits. And he sends out ghosts after you. What else does he do? He does a butt stomp.
Oh, the butt stomp is fucking terrible because
he has everything that Pac-Man has. He's bad Pac-Man, so he has all the Pac-Man.
He's bad Pac-Man.
Yeah, he throws electric bolts, which are like the pellets. He does a butt stomp, and he does the rev charge. He has all of Pac-Man's moves.
But he can throw better than Pac-Man, though. He doesn't throw it in the dirt like any child ever that throws the first pitch.
Well, he's the best. Yeah, he's the best version of Pac-Man. This is really okay. Look, every great story is about man fighting inwards. All right, and that's what PacMan World is. It's Pac-Man fighting himself.
He's fighting a giant robot of himself with a little ghost driving it.
Represents what he could be. A giant evil robot. And isn't that what we all really need to be in our life? Giant evil robots?
Not at all.
It was all just a nefarious dream by Pac-Man.
Yeah. Buy my self-help book. How you can destroy cities.
Is that out yet?
Yeah.
It was
that'd actually be a really good book. I'm not going to write it, but somebody should.
It's just a weird. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, like the first part of the fight, you got to get the pellets, hit them with the pellets. Then you got to butt stomp little buttons. I mean, the one thing nice is if you're getting hurt a bunch, the friends will show up and give you health in that fight. So they make it a little easier.
He's mechanical, and so you have to activate the electromagnets and pull him back to the center.
Yeah. I like jumping on his head,
but it doesn't affect Pac-Man. So Pac-Man's not metal.
He's just I don't know. He's made of cocaine.
I told you, he's a sentient lemon.
He's Paku Paku. That's what he is. Paku Paku.
Paku Paku.
Well, did you know that originally they wanted to call him Paku Man, but they thought people would chip off the... I had to make the joke. I couldn't remember the whole joke.
Pilgrim reference. Yeah.
I love that movie. I really love that movie.
I'm looking up to see if anybody else has asked, what does Pac-Man feel like?
I think we're the only ones to answer that question. All right.
Speaking of... Real quick, Japanese wordplay, because I found this real interesting. Apparently, the address on Pac-Man's house, 7650, is actually, for those that speak Japanese, and I apologize, I'm going to butcher it, Namuko. Wordplay for Namco.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
If only we were all Japanese, we'd be so impressed.
Right?
None of us are.
Nope.
If only.
All right. Any last things to say about Pac-Man before I continue with the next part? This train wreck?
This abortion.
I mean, like I generally enjoyed it. Like the music was all like really fun. I thought it all had that very early video game. It's like I think I've talked about this guy before on the podcast, but Seth Everman, who does the he's like a YouTuber who does like generic video game themes on YouTube. Like he'll do like every fire level music ever. You've probably seen him on Facebook. He does like a lot of his videos show up on Facebook.
I've
like
seen those videos. It's scary how accurate it is.
I'm not giving him credit. He's a great piano player, and they're very funny. Like all of his videos are really spot on and very funny. Where it's like generic fire theme, generic water music, and then like the last boss will be all the music put together.
That bald guy.
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Billy Corgan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this game has like that level of music where it's all like generic video game music, but I like generic video game music. It's fun.
Until
this game has it.
Until it just stops for no reason.
I didn't have that problem where I just wasn't paying enough attention. I was also rushing through these levels too.
Stefan and I were playing the haunted version of the game. Forget Ben drowned.
Clyde's soul is stuck in the game.
PacMan World is where it's out. Yeah, we're gonna wake up in the middle of the night, like sweating, and like look down. We're gonna see Chomp Chomp at the bottom of our beds.
All right. Any last coherent things you want to say about the game?
Why is Chomp Chomp also made of the same material Pac-Man is?
Okay.
Is Chomp Chomp
apparently not.
No,
all right,
Chomp Chomp's metal.
Chomp Chomp is metal. Well, then Pac-Man's metal, right?
No, he's not.
Who is Professor Pac-Man, and what does he study?
All right.
Pac pellets.
Pac theory.
How to kill ghosts.
Pac theory.
He's a poltergeist hunter, right? I don't know. All right.
What are you majoring in this year? Pac theory.
What's that? I didn't get any. I got a couple comments I wanted to read about this show, about this game. And one guy had said for some reason, because of the WWF Attitude Era, he always referred to Pac-Man as Pac Foley. I don't
like Mick Foley.
Yeah, I had to read it. I told him I was going to the show.
Mankind.
Yeah.
Obligatory spot. Unfortunately, none of us are wrestling fans.
I'm not either, but my friends were at the time. So like I remember Mick Foley and all that time, and I remember that era, even though I've never liked wrestling or watched wrestling.
Is he yellow and round like Pac-Man? Or
yeah.
No, he was not. And
another comment he looks exactly like Pac-Man. He is 300 pounds. He's perfectly spherical. Another comment I want to read from Jack Myers. He said that for some reason the opening for a smaller child was terrifying, and the graphics in general just kind of give me the willies even today. He said, "Yeah, it's so weird. It's so creepy."
There's really no context, just people getting snatched up.
I was scared of dumb stuff like, well, I was also playing Parasite Eve at 12 years old, so other things I should.
Where were your parents, sir?
Sitting with me, watching me play. My dad was doing. But that's all story.
It's a whole different therapy session.
It is. I'm with him. It's creepy. It's like stop motion animation. It's very off-putting and strange.
Cartoons gone wrong.
It's Pac-Man in a light that you would never want to see.
And the last question, or not question, the last thing I want to, because no one had any question about the game. Another thing kind of go along. This game doesn't exist on Google. People don't know it. I normally can always find a lot of screenshots for the Facebook page and Instagram page. I could find nothing for this game. And then when I would find a couple and hashtag, everybody's like, what the fuck is that? No one even likes my photos on Instagram. Hurt my feelings. I was so sad.
Only on Bing. You have to go to Bing and search for it.
Nobody cares about Pac-Man.
Nobody uses Bing.
And when you search PacMan World,
that's true. Everyone who owns an Xbox One uses Bing to get to Google.
PacMan World 2 is the one that everybody talks about, not PacMan World 1. So
no, and I think that's unfair.
Well, I don't. But and I got one last thing I want to read before we go to Shelfer Box. And from Emmanuel, who will actually be on the show in a couple months, he didn't play this one, but he played a bunch of Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness, which is all just the mazes in 3D.
Yeah.
Which I actually kind of want to try now. Even though I didn't like the mazes, I wouldn't mind. I did see some screenshots of that game. That game looks very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people, when I do hear the odd comment about people talking about Pac-Man World, they are usually talking about it with Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness.
That's what we should have played.
No, because that's just the mazes. This
we couldn't talk about
a giant space crab that you have to blow his eyes out.
Yeah.
Kill him.
Oh, in which we haven't mentioned on the show, this game does have one port on Game Boy Advance, which I actually started playing like 10 minutes before we did this recording because I finally decided to sit down and try it. It's odd. It tries to capture that 3D atmosphere of the PS1. It's very strange, but it does have the bump outs.
Well, from what I was reading, because the Game Boy Advance was such a not as good of a system, they had to take so much out of it.
I'm gonna play it, by the way, if I can. If I have time, I'm gonna try to finish.
I can see that, yeah. And I just imagine there's a shitload of limitations there.
It's easier too so far.
Well, it's easier because most of the game is taken out.
I like.
Well, I mean, just as a quick example, like several of the boss fights, it looks like aren't in the Game Boy Advance version.
Oh, that's
There's
bizarre.
23 levels, and according to this list, 8 of them don't appear in the Game Boy Advance version.
Oh, you're getting me excited for this Game Boy Advance version now, even more. It's shorter.
Still,
I get to play it.
Yeah,
still meet Orson though, right?
Sorry, ask again.
You still get to meet Orson though, right?
Yeah. He's part of the
You
final
haven't
boss.
mentioned who Orson is yet.
Oh,
Orson is a ghost who takes over, who is the one driving the pack mech in this
he created
game.
PacMan.
It's the saddest thing ever. So Orson just wants to be loved like Pac-Man is. That's his only like motivation. And so he creates a Pac-Man suit. It's very much like there's an episode in every single child's cartoon that is exactly this, where somebody wants to be loved and so they mimic the main character exactly.
Yeah, but he mimicked the guy who's killing everyone he's trying to be friends with.
Yeah, he's mimicking Pac-Man to the ghosts who want nothing but to kill Pac-Man.
That's the part that makes no sense.
The whole story doesn't make sense. I'm going to get to that eventually.
And then when Pac-Man stops him, he just kills him. Pac-Man, like, he comes out and gives his speech where he's like, oh, I just wanted to be loved. And Pac-Man kind of like leans over and you're like, oh, he's like leaning out a helping hand. He's like, you are loved. But then he just fucking kills him.
Yeah, he doesn't eat him. Yeah, he just eats him. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Pac-Man rolls hard, bitch.
Well, so because eating him doesn't actually kill him, and for Stuart's benefit, in PacMan World 3, they are partners. Orson does get a happy ending out of it.
Oh, that's nice. What about Funky?
I have no idea about Funky.
Funky is Funky was the green scientist ghost.
I know who you're talking about. I just don't know what happens to him.
All right, we should go to Shelfer Box.
That's sad.
Well, one last
justice
thing about
for Funky.
One last thing about that Orson part. When Pac-Man eats Orson in this game, it is so dark a moment that the camera cuts away. It cuts away like a horror movie.
Yeah,
it doesn't show you him eating him.
Look away, kids.
It's like if you like turned away at that moment, you'd be like, you would like legitimately think that Orson was just dead. Like Pac-Man has just ended this character.
Yes.
Like Pac-Man, like I said, Pac-Man rolls hard. You try to bite Pac-Man and he will fucking end you.
So,
all right. Shelfer Box. Christian, since you're our special guest, do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, in general, I enjoyed this game, but I'm also it sounds like the majority here, I'm not a huge fan of this era of 3D platformers.
That's fair.
Mostly because I'm not good at them.
Me
I had
too.
A really hard time
jump
with
in
it.
and say that nobody is. Let's not pretend like anybody's good. If you say you're good at them, you're a fucking liar. Shut up. Nobody's good at these platformers.
But again, all in all, it's a really aesthetically pleasing for the era. I mean, it looks kind of janky, but I liked all the different areas, and the sound and the music track was good. I'd say play it, but ultimately probably box it, because I'm never coming back to this game.
Either are we.
Well, there's 2 more Pac-Man worlds out there, Mike. Don't say never.
This game specifically, because apparently Pac-Man World 2 is better.
It looks better.
I've never played the other 2, and yeah, it seems like both of them are just wildly better received.
2 is the one that everyone talks about. 3 doesn't seem to be as highly regarded, or so.
Well, Stuart should definitely play 3 because he needs to find out about Orson.
Yeah, I need to know how the story ends.
He has a way to make us do it, unfortunately.
It should be like if you never watched like the last Star Wars movie. It's just like, what happens? What happens to the Emperor? What happens to Orson?
That movie, which depends on which last Star Wars movie we talk about.
Does Orson get redeemed?
All right, Stefan, how about you? Shelfer Box.
You know, here's the thing. This story made no sense to me. I don't know
Nope.
if it made any sense to anyone else, because
Nope.
here's the thing that I didn't understand, and I just want to quickly lay this out. Everyone that Pac-Man knows gets kidnapped, and
Yes.
they get taken to Ghost Island,
Yes.
and
You are correct. So
there's
far.
a robot Pac-Man putting on a show, but all the ghosts are afraid of Pac-Man, and they kidnapped his family, and
Yes.
he's putting on a show, and
Well, that was incompetence.
it doesn't make any sense.
And they're upset that the real Pac-Man showed up too.
Yeah.
They're upset that the real Pac-Man showed up because it ruins the illusion, because they thought the other Pac-Man was the real Pac-Man.
Which is insane.
Make no mistake, despite this being a very clear copy, everyone is under the complete impression that it's definitely Pac-Man. Or all the ghosts just feel so bad for Orson that they just like have given in and are now just participating in his fantasies.
Humoring him.
Yeah. Like they're just participating in his fantasies. So Orson's like, I'm Pac-Man, everybody, and they're like, I feel so bad for him. Like, oh yeah, you're Pac-Man. And he's like, everyone loves me, and they're like, everyone loves you. Like, good for you, Orson.
Yeah.
Orson's just a totally sad character in the universe.
So none of that made sense to me. That being said, I would put this on the shelf because I actually genuinely did have a good time with it.
Yeah.
Now that was a plot twist. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't.
It wasn't as hard for me as, I don't know, it just wasn't that hard. And when I went through, like, when I went through this, I kept thinking, like, oh, it's like a generic platformer. This is great. And then I would get the parts that would frustrate me and be like, fuck this piece of shit. It's going in the box. And then I would get past those hard parts and the rest of the game was relatively easy. So I'd be like, you know what? It's all right. And yeah, it's just all right. It's okay. I enjoyed it.
This comes back to Stefan and I being fans of survival horror. We just have Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Which I am not a fan of survival horror.
The more a game tortures you, the more you love it.
I mean, look at Dark Souls and that whole series.
Oh man,
That's why I still play Steam Greenlight games.
I'll go next. I think it's obvious where this game is going. It's going in the box because I never want to play it again. I mean, I had fun with it, but I only had fun because I could hit F1 to save, F3 to load, so I had some fun with it. But the fact when I can't count that to be like, okay, this game was that decent. Like, no, it's just decent because I had the tools to manipulate it.
You know what, Mike? It's a single player game. Play it how you want. You want to cheat? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very past that whole idea where people are like, oh, you're not playing this way. Like, no, you enjoy it, you finish it. Who cares? Like, you're not affecting anybody else's, and you're still getting, like, I'm getting the most enjoyment I ever would have got out of PacMan World, and I got to see the end of PacMan World and get the compelling ending to that story where he ate Orson. But, and it's just, I mean, I've always been like that about games. You can play a game with save state, especially, in any case, even if, like, for someone working as much as I am right now, I don't want to do a level 10 times until I get it right. I just want to play it, see it, enjoy it, move on to the next game, either for the show or just even before the show, just play what I want to play next. So, I mean, the safe states I enjoyed it, but it's going to box. I never want to play this again. I do want to play 2 maybe someday, but never want to play this game again. So, in the box.
Not only the game, Mike, you cheated yourself.
Yeah, that's what some people think. And Stuart, how about you?
So I was actually on the fence about this before we started playing it, because I was like, I remember I played this as a kid. I probably played this when I was like 8 or 9, and so I had very little memory of it, because all my memories of playing games back then was like, again, like Jak and Daxter and GTA and Max Payne, because my parents did not give a shit about what kind of games I played. But yeah, I couldn't quite remember it, and I was like, I'm gonna be interested to get back into it. I don't know how I'm gonna feel, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm actually gonna shelf this. I really enjoyed it. It was difficult, but it was difficult in a good way. I thought it played pretty well. It wasn't difficult in it wasn't like a broken mess. So it was like most games. Right. A lot of people equate difficulty with a game being broken. We're like, oh, it's so challenging. It's like, no, it's just a bad design. This is a well-designed, a well-made game that I think had a lot of challenge to it, and it was just like it had that weirdness that I always love, where, like I said, all the worlds are like a weird mishmash of ideas. It's got the goofy villains. It's got the HMS windbag.
You really like that HMS windbag.
I do. One of my favorite parts of the game is at the end when you're in the mansion and in the background you can see Clyde, the orange ghost, is a DJ for some reason. Just the skill that you didn't know Clyde had. Like, I think Inky is cooking and Clyde is DJing, and it's like, oh, they have their own little traits that they're not just names and colors. But yeah, like this game, it was broken up enough where it was like, okay, this is the Galaga section, this is the racing section. And knowing, actually, I didn't know that what Christian brought up about this was like supposed to be a mishmash of a whole bunch of different Namco IPs all in one. I didn't know that, and I can definitely feel it now, where it's like, you know, you've got Galaga in there. I could see like the racing. I would love to play that version of the game where like you go to race the clowns and it's like it's just straight up pole position where the cars are coming in and standing around you. That'd be fantastic. And so for that ambition and for what the finished product was, I'm definitely putting this on my shelf. And the fact that the music cuts out, so it is a little bit broken. I like broken things. That's a very sad thing to say.
That's another therapy session. Put a pin in that one.
I like broken things. It's a little bit broken. It's still totally playable, but it's just a little bit broken. It's just got that little bit of jank on it.
All right, now I feel like you're projecting. So
yeah. Oh please, I'm dead inside.
Oh, and Stuart, do you want to mention what we're playing next week?
Sure. Next week we'll be playing Mega Man's 1 and 2.
Yes. Mega Man.
Dr. Wily.
That's a good question, Dr. Wily.
We must stop Dr. Wily, Mega Man.
Find those energy emissions. We find Dr. Wily.
Yes.
That's Dr. Wily. We're not playing that version of it. We're playing
we really
original 1 and 1 and 2. But
good question, Mega Man.
We do the whole show like that. We all just talk there.
Mega Man.
And we're actually and Christian's coming back for us next week for that episode too.
Yeah, I'll be back. Another platforming game that I suck at.
Because of a confusion. Where I said, hey, do you want to be on these games? And you thought I meant one of them.
Yeah.
I was like, great, put you on both.
Yep.
All right, and I think it's time that we start wrapping this up. First thing I'm going to mention, if you guys get a chance, please follow us on the Facebook page and the Instagram page where I'm usually posting images.
Fact?
What?
Our animal C-Fact?
Oh, sure, yeah. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and we bring to you our C-Fact.
C-Fact, so...
Yeah, can't forget the C-Fact.
Can't forget our C-Fact. So God, every week, the title is so long. Every week we do a random sea animal fact, interesting fact, and I think the full title of this now is Whale, 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 what do we have here for all intents and purposes, : I'll see you in shell, you son of a beach. And the interesting fact of the week is a jellyfish, when cut in two, can grow into two clones of that jellyfish. So feasibly, you could continuously cut pieces off a jellyfish and end up with an infinite amount of jellyfish.
Why did that remind me of Parasite for some reason?
It's a very Metroid.
That's what came
jellyfish are basically Metroids. Jellyfish are the mitochondria of the cell.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Yeah, I think that's crazy though.
All you need to do is acronym. Make your title an acronym. Then nobody will ever know what that is.
WWD. Oh God, I'm gonna have a stroke.
Okay. And if you guys need another podcast to listen into your rotation, please take a look at the unboxing story that I mentioned earlier on the show. As we said before, the bonus one is coming. I'm hoping to get it up here in the next 2 weeks or so. We just had some technical difficulties, but we have some new ideas we're working with, so there will be more bonus content coming at some point soon. Because I'm just unfortunately next week I'm in Chicago, so I can't record next week for the bonus like I was hoping to. We will be recording our episode for sure. We'll beat you on time. But I want to thank everybody for listening. You guys have anything you want to plug before we go out?
Mega Man 8. I should play.
All right. We don't have anything we want to mention. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for listening. You guys have a wonderful night. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Wait. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. Did you
stop the presses?
Did you plug the song? You didn't plug the song.
Oh, I didn't plug the song. I even wrote it in here.
You even wrote it down. You wrote down, don't forget to plug the
song. And what do? I forget the song plug.
Sorry, is this the first week you've forgotten it?
No, I forgot a couple times. I just put it in the notes. But if you guys liked our intro and outro, it is we are using it courtesy of Bulby, aka Mike Stoney. He's over on you can follow him on YouTube. The song is I got it. Cool Kid Squad.
Cool Kid Squad from the
Bite the Bullet.
I've heard it so much. I think about it when I sleep.
It's in my head too. All right. Well, thank everyone. Have a wonderful night. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.